Welcome to the Journey to Destination.
Hello, hello. With you, Emma and Christian.
Continuing the workshop.
Speak from your heart. Today we're gonna learn about the technique that will help us to move into the heart. And yeah, as said last time, this episode is gonna be like a workshop. So we invite you to grab some paper and pens, or also you can do it in your head, if that's what you prefer.
Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so the technique that we're gonna be working with today is a super useful way to understand what's happening in ourselves and what's happening in every person, but by no means it's the only one. It's just the one that is presented in the nonviolent communication. But yeah, in terms of accordance with the ideas, we're gonna call it good or bad, but as we saw in the previous part, there's no good and bad, so it's just a technique.
One of many.
Yeah. Useful, but call it what you will.
Yeah, and as said, the only and the main goal is to move to your heart. And from the heart, we can do a connection with other human beings. We can empathize, we can feel. So this will be our goal for today, and for the conversations that we will have in life.
To express our goal, in other words, is looking at problems from the perspective of a heart where there's no problems at all.
So yeah, basically everything is just a situation that can be solved. And that's it.
Okay, so our goal for today is gonna be our expression of our inner works, and with this, an invitation for the person with whom we're speaking to connect with us on a heart level.
Our technique has 4 different parts. So they are observation, then feelings, needs, and request. And we're gonna slowly move through all 4 parts, and the end goal is to create, the end idea is to create a story, a 1-sentence story where you explain what happened as observation, how did you feel as a feeling, and then which need of yours was not satisfied as a need, and at the end to make a request. So what can the other person do to make your life more wonderful?
Understanding this technique is gonna help us both express and listen to others, and also understand ourselves, because sometimes things come up and we just have no clue where they're coming from. So this is gonna be a very useful tool in our inner exploration as well, but more on this in part 3 and 4 of the workshop. But for now, we're gonna be focusing on conflicts with one other person. So of course conflicts come in all shapes and sizes, with many people involved, with just brief situations that make our lives less than wonderful, or on the other hand something that's super complex, especially our close relationships, family dynamics and stuff like this that have a lot of past involved. So coming from this, the first exercise for you is to think of a conflict that you've had in the last week or 2 or today even with one other person.
And it doesn't even have to be a conflict. It's just something that made your life less than wonderful. So it could be someone that looked at you in a way that you did not enjoy it, or it can be a giant conflict. It can be whatever.
And we're gonna imagine that we are confronting or just speaking with this person after all has been said and done, or even in the middle of the conflict. So we're gonna be kinda retrospectively observing what happened and how we were feeling and how it makes us feel every time that the same situation happens. But just imagine, we're creating a story for someone to understand us.
Yes. So yeah, first we will do observation. And how do you do observation? it is very important to make a very objective observation. And that means that we do not use words that can be perceived differently by each individual. So, what I mean by that? That means that when I say, "Oh, you're so loud," maybe what's loud for me, it's not loud for you. Or if I say, "Oh, the kitchen was not clean," again, what is clean for me is super dirty for someone else.
Messy,
And I know
tidy.
it from experience, guys. And you know it as well.
With this as well, messy, tidy. Even though we perceive them as objective, we all know from experience that they are not objective words.
Imagine saying to your mom that you cleaned the kitchen.
Yeah, but then if we continue in this manner, let's check out some of the words that are sometimes very very slippery. So, for example, loud. You were speaking very loudly. Well, loud is very personal and cultural, so you can express this in a way, look, you were speaking louder than usual, or louder than is comfortable for me, or whatever.
Yeah. Or if you say, you said some ugly stuff. Again, ugly stuff, what is that? So let's avoid stuff like ugly.
Then let's check, for example, if I say, today when you were trying to hurt me, when you were trying to insult me, when you were judging me. These are all very nice guesses. They might be true, they might be not, but let's just see how we feel when somebody says to us, when you were judging me. Well, first of all, you're implying what I was doing. You might be correct, but you didn't ask me, so you don't know. And second of all, it creates this knowledge that you know something more, or you imply this moral judgment on me. So I'm gonna create a block. I'm not gonna listen to you anymore, and whatever we say, the last thing we want is to create a block. So coming from the language that we've all been taught, is a lot of times difficult to understand that the usual way is a way that creates blockage. So we're just trying to avoid everything that will make a block. That's why it's maybe a lot of
Effort at the beginning.
effort, and we need a lot of examples to get acquainted with it, but I'm very happy that you're still in the process with us.
Yeah, but do not worry, because very soon you get so familiar with it and you know it by heart and you don't doubt. But it's just at the beginning, it's like everything. It's like learning a bicycle. You have to learn and then you will know. Cool.
Okay, so we're trying to be as objective as possible, and on top of this, it's nice to use numbers, because numbers are quite specific. So don't say often, rather use 3 times a week, or 20 minutes today. Don't say always when I saw you.
Yeah. And also, it's very, very nice to put objective sentence in a way when you said this, and then you quote what the person said. And what person has said can be very unobjective, but because you're quoting what the person was saying, you actually make it very objective. So this is a nice way. This is a very, very easy way to put a finger on a situation that bothered you.
And one more guidance is to avoid being very long and describing your childhood and everything that was happening. Rather focus on one specific thing. So even if you had a conversation that lasted for 1 hour, you can call it by when we were talking, but more specifically, it's nice for the person to hear what actually bothered you. So maybe you can say, when we were talking for an hour and you said that this, or when you were objecting my doing this, or something in this sense. So try to be very specific and short.
Yeah, that's great that you mentioned that. It is very important to put this in like 1 sentence or 2 sentences max. So because this person was there, we do not need to explain everything that happened, but just specific things. Cool. So please, go for it. Write it down. Make it as objective as if you're writing a science report. If somebody reads this, they can repeat the situation exactly the same.
Cool. Now that you've done it, you can also, of course, always pause the podcast, take it at your own pace. But now that you've done it, look at what you've written, and again, try to evaluate, is it objective? and go word by word, really, and ask maybe another person if they understand what happened, because sometimes we saw in our workshops that people write down something that for them is really specific, really clear, but I have no idea what's going on. So if you tell me, who is a third person that was not involved in a conflict, and I don't understand, well, then it's not clear enough. So just try to maybe even ask someone for their opinion if they understand. But always, for anything relating to nonviolent communication, you can always reach out to us in whichever channel you find us. We're very available and super keen to help you with any little trick or...
We love turning the world into a non-violent place.
Yeah, one
Come
by
up
one.
with the question. Cool. Okay, so now the hard part is over, guys. So we go for the feelings. Okay, so yeah. When you check the situation and what happened, you can move into your heart and check how you felt at that point. And this is very simple. We know the feelings, but here is just one tiny trap. And that is that sometimes we call, in our language, we call feelings some things that are not feelings, but are just our diagnosis of the situation. Yeah, I'm talking about feelings like I feel judged, or I feel criticized, or I feel ignored. These are not feelings, because the easiest way to realize why these are not feelings is to check who is doing this action. Are you ignoring you, or is another person ignoring you? Are you judging you? Which, of course, usually this can be a situation as well. But the feeling is something that comes from you, from within.
Yeah, so again, we're focusing exclusively on ourselves. So for now, we're not even bothered with the other person. It's just about us. We're gonna deal with them later, or before, but in our workshop it comes later. But for now, is this feeling coming from me, or am I doing the feeling? Or even more, you can ask yourself, is this coming from my heart? Because if you say, I feel judged, or I feel that you are judging me, you are implying what you're thinking. So I think that you are judging me would be actually what you're trying to express. But what you're feeling might be sad, confused, alone, whatever it is. But just to tell you a little secret, it doesn't really matter which feeling you choose, because always it's many feelings involved, but whatever you resonate with is enough for this practice. Why? Because all that we're doing is trying to express to the other person that we are human and we're not feeling wonderful. So if we're able to transmit that without putting a block in between us and the other person, then we're successful. So yeah, I can say sad or confused, but at the end we all know how feelings feel, and if you tell to me I feel sad or confused, after hearing both I feel the same. I feel, I'm making your life less than wonderful, and that's not my natural state. I want to make everyone happy. Like, this is the premise of nonviolent communication. Everyone in their heart of hearts is trying to make each other only wonderful. It's never our intention to make each other miserable.
Okay, and if you need some help for feelings, because when I started this, I know I needed some help with feelings, because for me there were 5 feelings and that was it. So yeah, if you need to find some more feelings, in the description there is a link to a document where you can find a summary about everything we talked about and are still talking, and a list of feelings, a list of needs, and some other stuff.
Yeah, super useful just to have it open, or maybe when you're feeling a bit confused when using this language, just to check it out with one eye and take a glimpse of everything that we've talked about in a really, really short and condensed manner.
Cool, so
Beautiful.
yeah.
So yeah, with feelings, be careful that they're coming from you, but other than that, good job on finding yours and adding them to your story. So I was feeling blank.
Cool, and yeah, maybe we forgot to mention this. If you say I feel that, if there is this word that usually means that you're not making a feeling, but you're making a thinking. So
Yeah,
do
or
not-
if you attach a person after I'm feeling, so, or I feel you are judging me. Well,
Yeah.
if you is the next word, then probably it's not a feeling.
Even if you say I feel you are sad, this is not coming from you. Like, We
I
just talk
think
from...
you are sad.
Yes, we talk from us, so let's talk from us. Cool.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
We move on to needs. So feelings and needs are inextricably connected because unsatisfied needs lead to emotions being felt, and all we have to do is find a need that was not satisfied, that was making us feel less than wonderful. This is the beautiful part for me of this language, because it requires some creativity, and also it's very yours, so you can make it as yours as possible. What I mean by that is you can either use some needs that are super general. They can be I have a need for love, for space, for tranquility, for beauty, for connection, or they can be super specific. So I need some space when I come home and it's after 4 p.m.
Thank you. Yes, and need is actually the core of all the feelings we have, as we mentioned before. So this is the beauty. When you find your need, man, you see what the problem is, and from here it's so easy to find a solution and fix it. So yeah, need is a really important part to find. And I know it's tricky at the beginning, but of course you get super fluent in it and it's super easy to find it later.
Yeah, and the beautiful part about our needs is that now, knowing what our need actually is, we're super equipped to resolve our negative emotions. Because I feel that a lot of processes, a lot of problem-solving techniques that we are using in these days are just addressing the emotions or expressing the emotion or whatever, but the core need is left unsatisfied. So now what we have is this power to go down to the need, make it conscious, so now we can act on how we can satisfy the need.
And again, with needs, there is one trick as well. Our needs can be satisfied by anyone on this planet, and this means that you can never say, look, I have a need for you to do this, or I have a need for you to love me. No, you have a need for this to be done, or you have a need to be loved, and anyone can satisfy this. Maybe in this moment you're asking this person to do this, but actually it's not this person that you're needing. So with needs, we try to stay away from the word you or they even. I need them to be something.
Or a specific name. I must tell you that this for me is the biggest blessing. So for example, if Emma is saying something to me, if she says, I need you to be happy, I feel very distant, alone, even sad, because I'm perceiving this as a judgment. I perceive this as somebody saying I'm not happy, or demanding something from me, and if I feel a demand, I'm not gonna participate, you know. But if she says, I have a need for my partner to be happy, well then, that's your problem, it's not mine, you know, like, it's just a need of yours, it has nothing to do with me, even though it's exactly the same thing, but just it puts this distance between us, and
the weight down of you.
Yeah, it doesn't imply that I have anything to do with it. So really try it out even when you express yourself and you don't use this technique, but just try to substitute you for a descriptor of what this is. Man, it changes everything.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's just, you always do the switch. I need you to respect my time. No, I need my time to be respected. And everything in the same way.
Or again, you can be very specific. So you can be as bizarre even as, I have a need for my parents to be respectful to me, instead of saying you mom or you dad, you know. So, but you can be just, you know, I have a need for people close to me to be respectful to me. So fair enough, it's my need, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, find your need. Of course, as feeling, you can have many feelings, you can have many needs as well, but it's okay if you choose just one right now, because we're just learning. So yeah, find the need that you most connect with right now.
Beautiful.
Cool. And now we move to the last part, to request. Yeah, so we made this whole story, observation, feelings, needs, because we want to connect with the person next to us, because we want the person to understand us, to see us as a human being who is feeling, who has needs and everything, and we successfully did this. But the reason why we did this was to actually request something from them, because we're needing something right now. So we need to make our life more wonderful. And yeah, the end part is to make that request. So what do you need for your life to be more than wonderful? And here is very important to be careful to not make a demand. I know we are very used to make demands in this world right now, and we're very used to hear them all the time. But just in this language, let's try to stay away from the demands and actually doing a request, which means you can hear a no, and it's okay if you hear a no. And we're gonna go from there. In the next episode, we're gonna check what to do if you get a no. But just come with the idea that it's okay if you get a no, and people have a right to say no to you, and you don't have a right to ask anyone to do something they do not want.
Yeah, and demands are really tricky because, yeah, like you said, we're used to hearing demands, but also we're used to giving demands. Because if you ask for someone to, for example, clean the kitchen, and they don't do it, and you say, oh no, it's no problem, but then you don't talk to them, well, here's your punishment. So, by your reaction, I'm seeing that what you said was actually a demand, because I get punished if I don't do it. Or I can rebel, but then again, it's clear that it was a demand. So, be very careful on your part that you are in your heart as much as possible, and when you hear a no, it's just a no. Or when somebody doesn't do it, it's just an expression of their need not being satisfied. Again, we're going to be looking at this the next time, but when you make a request, you can also say, look, I'm just asking you if you could help me out, or do it only if you want it, or something in this manner, explaining or reassuring that what you're asking of them, it's only an ask, it's not an order.
And even you can get creative and give a person 3 different options so they can choose, and they have this feeling of choosing. So it was, of course, not a demand that they chose something. But yeah, it takes some time usually, because people are very used to hear demands, and especially if you were making many demands before, it's hard to convince people that you're not making demands now anymore.
Yeah. One guidance when you're making requests is to make it clear, doable, understandable. So kind of stay away from these words in the clouds like, I need you to love me, I need you to give me space, I need you to understand me and support me, I need you to predict what I'm gonna do and then do it before I even think of it. That's all very nice and very beautiful, but at the end, if you tell me and I write it in my checklist, then at the end of the day, I go through it, I do check, I did everything that you asked of me, and that's it. Because if you say love me more and I have written love this person more, well, I did, but for you maybe it was not. So if you want to get something, try to ask it in a way that everybody understands what you mean.
Yeah, maybe instead of give me more love, ask for give me 3 hugs per day and kiss every time you come in the kitchen. Or something specific. It can be completely bizarre, but it's at least it's very doable, and this person can actually start to understand what do you really want. And the last thing with requests, try to stay away from the negative request. So try to not say, I do not want you to do that. Because usually when you say no to something, there is like 100 options that you're saying yes to. So you can say, okay, please stop smoking, but then the person will start taking drugs. Maybe this is not really what you want. So let's try to make a positive action. And there's a really fun story from Marshall, that he has a lady coming to his workshop, and she said, oh, Marshall, now I finally understand what you meant with stop making negative requests. And her story was that she asked her husband to stop spending so much time at work. And what happened? Well, the husband started going to golf lessons, but he was actually spending less time at work. But what she actually wanted was for him to spend more time with her, and she didn't ask that. So that's the takeaway. Ask what you do want, not what you do not want.
Cool. So happy writing your requests. Again, the whole story should be 4 little phrases put together in one big sentence or something in this way, but try to make it short, quick, understandable, even though it's a lot of words and very specific. But if you stay with this and do it in practice a couple of times, you'll get super used to it, so it's not gonna pose any problem whatsoever. And that's it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck. Maybe just for the end, I will give one example so you imagine how this looks like.
Oh yes, please.
Cool. So, for example, something happens, and then I go to my boss and I talk to her, and I say, okay, yesterday when I didn't go home at the time that was arranged for me in the roster, so that's observation, what happened, I felt very frustrated and angry, so these are my feelings, because I have a need for my time to be respected. Okay, that's my need. So because of that, I would really nicely ask you if you could inform me at least one day in advance if you need me to stay longer than until the time that is arranged on the roster. Okay, this is my request. It's doable. That's it.
Yeah, what happened when you said that?
She apologized a lot and said this was exception, like just exception, and this will not happen again. And yeah,
And from now on, they're very respectful of your time.
they are super respectful. It's cool.
Super beautiful. Okay, if you have any questions with your stories, let us know or just send them our way, very privately as well, if you want, or just any question that you have, we're super happy to deal with. But other than that, good luck. If you have anyone you would like to share this with or continue the work, invite them into the workshop. Look out at this space. In 2 weeks, you're gonna have a next part, which is gonna be even more fun.
The next part is my favorite. Oh man.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, and of course, in the description there is a link to the official Nonviolent Communication site where you can find some more information if you're interested in. And with that, I wish you a lot of speaking from the heart and living from the heart.
Namaste.